Happiness is not to be enjoyed but to be crafted as an illusion, for men are ruled more by the promise of sweetness than its taste. If one studies the conduct of men carefully, it becomes clear that their desires are never for the thing itself, but for the image, the dream, the shadow of what they believe they want. Just as a man reaches for a watermelon because its glossy rind and heavy weight suggest nourishment, so too do people pursue wealth, status, and pleasure, not because they understand their true essence, but because they are seduced by the appearance. Yet appearances are enough because appearances rule. Men live and die by what they believe, not by what is. To understand this is to master not only one's own happiness, but also the happiness of others. For the wise happiness is not pursued like a fool chases a fleeting scent. It is shaped, directed, and wielded like a blade hidden inside the fruit. A prince or a leader who seeks his own happiness will fail, because private satisfaction is fragile and fleeting. What is joyous today grows stale tomorrow, and the chase never ends. But the prince who learns to govern the happiness of others, who sets before them the symbols of sweetness, will command loyalty far greater than any soldier's oath. Men endure hardships, poverty, and even oppression. If they are convinced that their suffering serves as a prelude to joy, they will sweat in the fields, bleed in war, and kneel to authority so long as they believe that happiness waits beyond the next season. The promise of sweetness is the most reliable instrument of order, more effective than fear alone, for fear restrains the body but hope governs the soul. Consider how men are moved by festivals, by parades, by spectacles. These are but watermelons laid before them, bright on the outside, fleeting within. The ruler who spends a small sum to create such illusions buys more obedience than the one who hoards gold in silence. It matters little whether the fruit is ripe or rotten inside. The people do not slice it open. They only admire its surface. This is why illusions are cheaper than realities, and why the wise prince invests more in appearances than in substance. Men are not philosophers. They do not weigh truth, they consume symbols. If they taste a moment of sweetness, even if followed by bitterness, they remember the promise and crave it again. Thus happiness becomes not a goal but a cycle, repeated endlessly, manipulated carefully by those who understand human weakness. One might ask, is it not cruel to deny true happiness and replace it with shadows? But cruelty itself is only a matter of perception. A man who is given an illusion of sweetness may feel more content than one who is given the whole fruit. The mind exaggerates what it expects, and the expectation often satisfies more than the reality. To grant people everything they want leads to restlessness, for the hunger of man is infinite. To grant them just enough with a taste of what could be keeps them docile, striving, and obedient. Therefore, withholding is not cruelty, it is governance. The pursuit of happiness is, in truth, the greatest vulnerability of mankind. A man may resist threats, endure punishment, and withstand hardship, but he will betray even his deepest principles for the chance at joy. The illusion of love can bind him more firmly than chains. The illusion of wealth can make him work himself to death. The illusion of honor can send him marching to war for another man's gain, and all the while he imagines he is free, because he believes his pursuit is self-directed. The irony is that happiness enslaves most effectively when it appears voluntary. Thus, the wise leader cloaks compulsion with the garments of choice and lets men believe they are carving their own fruit, even as he controls the knife. It is a common folly to think that happiness must be genuine to be powerful. In truth, it matters little whether the fruit is sweet or hollow, whether the promise is kept or broken. Men remember the anticipation more than the taste. A ruler may betray them 100 times, yet if he dangles before them the possibility of future sweetness, they return with renewed obedience. This is the cycle of power, built not upon the stone of truth but upon the shifting sand of belief. Even religion, which holds entire nations in order, rests upon the same principle, the promise of eternal sweetness beyond this life. Whether it exists or not is irrelevant. The belief itself commands kings, armies, and empires. To master happiness, therefore, is to master illusion. One must learn to paint the rind, to thump the surface so it sounds ripe, to arrange the fruit so it looks plentiful, even if the inside is empty. Men will not cut too deeply. They fear disappointment and prefer to live in the glow of appearances. Provide them with a little sweetness now and then, and they will forgive the bitterness that follows. Deny them sweetness altogether and they revolt. Overfeed them with sweetness and they grow sick and restless. Thus, balance is the true art, keeping the fruit always in sight, always desirable, never fully consumed. The wise man applies this lesson to his own life as well. He does not waste his strength chasing after complete happiness, for he knows it does not exist. To demand constant joy is to court despair, for even the sweetest fruit rots. Instead, he learns to control his own perception, to savor the illusion when it serves him, and to use it as he would use a tool. He does not believe happiness is his right. He sees it as an instrument of discipline, both over himself and over others. He is content not in possessing sweetness, but in knowing how to wield it. Men often imagine that happiness lies in freedom, yet true freedom without guidance leads to chaos and misery. It is better for most men to be bound by illusions than to be loosed into the wild with nothing but truth. Truth is bitter and few can swallow it. Illusions are sweet and they nourish even when false. The wise prince, then, does not unveil the world as it is. He covers it in patterns, colors, and symbols, so that his people walk willingly into their duties. He governs not by force but by dreams, not by chains but by fruit. Thus the watermelon becomes the perfect symbol of happiness and its manipulation. To the crowd it is a feast, a delight, a proof of abundance. To the wise it is a mask, a shell that hides emptiness but convinces all who look upon it. The people may never taste it, but their belief is enough. The ruler himself may never eat it, but he grows stronger from their obedience. Happiness, then, is not to be enjoyed but to be crafted as an illusion, for men are ruled more by the promise of sweetness than its taste.